want to move on to pretty much that expose you have been writing in the Courier Mail. It's looking inside these tensions, escalating tensions in the LNP, and whether or not I think there is capacity for the opposition to really step up in the statewide, has all of these internal party issues. The sitting president of the Queensland LNP has now hit out senior figures in her own party, branding them cowards for speaking up about internal dysfunction. This was in the Courier Mail. This is a letter to members from the President, Cynthia Hardy, taking aim at party figures, including the Brisbane Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner and former Deputy Premier Jeff Seeney, for criticising the current administration. In your story, Gleeson, the gloves are off. What's happening inside the LNP?
Well, more than that, Peter. It was Seeney, it's Schrinner. So you've got a Deputy Premier, you've got an incumbent Lord Mayor, you've got Rob Borbidge, a former Premier, you've got Lawrence Springborg, a former opposition leader, you've got Gary Hardgrave, a former federal minister, and you've got probably another 35 who were off the record because they were fearful of retribution. And this goes back to 2011, Peter, when the backroom boys got rid of John-Paul Langbroek when they panicked after Anna Bligh's polling numbers went through the roof as a result of the floods here in Queensland. When we get a natural disaster, the Premier's numbers generally go through the roof because they're out and about on the 6 o'clock news every night. And then, of course, you know, during the Campbell-Newman era of 2012 to 2015, they were more interested in meddling in policy on behalf of, you know, a couple of billionaires around the place who were very keen on getting railway lines between the Galilee Basin and the East Coast, and, of course, acquiring land on the Sunshine Coast. And then, of course, you've got last year when Deb Frecklington, there was polling that was leaked which undermined her bid to win the poll on October 31. Now, we know that it was a referendum on COVID, and we know that it would have been incredibly difficult for her to win under any circumstances. However, the members are angry. There's white-hot anger out there, Peter, because they know that this is a party that's at war with itself, and until they get on the same page and they start rowing in the same direction, and that's the big challenge now for David Crisafulli, the LNP leader, the parliamentary leader. There's a state convention coming up in July. Expect a massive spill of a lot of the key positions and expect some real experienced, respected people to come in and try and repair this party.
That's the test. I mean, the leader can do what he can inside, or she can inside the caucus of the party room. But in the end, if head office is crook or it's rotten or it's not up to the job or any combination of all of that, it holds the parliamentary team back. Are we going to see a clean out in the LNP organisation, the executive, you know, those who have been around since it was founded, dare I say?
Well, if they don't blow it up, Peter, they will consign the Labor Party to more office in Queensland. At the moment, they've held government here in Queensland for 27 out of the last 30 years. That gives you an indication of how poorly this organisation is run. And for Cynthia Hardy to come out yesterday and suggest that that story was wrong and to suggest that these people were cowards underlines just how delusional these people are. I mean, she needs to resign today. The members are angry. I've had 228 emails in the last 48 hours, Peter, from disgruntled members saying, thank goodness the Courier Mail have gone into bat for these, and Sky News have gone into bat for this situation because they are angry, they are resigning their memberships. Not only are they resigning their memberships, if they happen to speak out and write a letter or do something that's at odds with the parliamentary, with the organisational wing, they're suspended, they're banished. It's a fiefdom and it has to end.
I tell you what, you're in trouble if the rank and file are that angry that they're quitting the party in a state like Queensland. Just before we go, interestingly, a bit of a stoush yesterday between the Treasurer and the Premier in Queensland. She's basically telling Canberra they've got to do more to help her local community in the rebuild post-COVID, notwithstanding the fact that she locked the border for such a long time. But the truth is, and Josh Frydenberg took to the papers to put it out there in Queensland today, 3 times the money has been put into Queensland than the government's put in itself, the Palaszczuk government. And indeed, Josh Frydenberg, the federal team, have spent the money, $28 billion, whereas the $8 billion promised by the Premier, that's money that's not yet spent, and it's over the next 4.5 years. Now, correct me if I'm right, but that's the cold, hard numbers here, Gleeson.
Well, they're hot workers here in Queensland. This is the old Bjelke-Petersen playbook. If in doubt, blame Canberra. And they do it all the time in Queensland. And Queenslanders fall for it because it's got that sort of jingoistic, sort of xenophobic outlook towards Canberra. I mean, seriously, Frydenberg's nailed it today. And then we saw the absurd situation a couple of days ago where you had the Deputy Premier here, Stephen Miles, ripping up some agreement between Queensland and Canberra, which would have meant $30 million would have gone to New South Wales as a result of New South Wales hosting Queenslanders in quarantine. Again, you know, they love picking a fight with Canberra because they think it plays out well here in Queensland, and obviously it does, clearly.
Well, she's got to learn to add up, though, because those numbers are a long way different in reality than what she was putting around yesterday. Peter Gleeson, keep it up. I'm fascinated with your expose on the LNP. I'm reading it, and I know so many others are as well. Thanks for your time.